Billionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
A poor man prayers,
every man bleeds.
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.
Under the Fair Use Act, these videos are for information and educational purposes, and I do not own the rights to any of these videos that are shown. All rights reserved to the original content creators.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy SL550, and this is the N.G.L.A podcast, man. So welcome. And please, before we start, man, make sure y'all like, comment, share, also subscribe. Not only because the content is dope, but because it costs you nothing, you heard? So today, man, we're going to get into a few things, man. We're going to tap in with RJ Talks, and he going to break down, Scott Bessent sat down with Christian Welker on Meet the Press, and like they all do, whenever something is put out, so the jobs are so my last episode, I believe it was, somebody made a comment about the jobs report saying that the jobs last month jobs report was bad. Cool. But as we know about polls and a lot of things that come out, you got to take it with a grain of salt, and you got to really do your own due diligence to kind of figure out, what's true and what's not. Because there be a lot of stuff that be put out that is just bullshit, So anyway, Scott Bessent had an interview on Meet the Press, and we're going to break that down. Also, Anton Daniels plays a short about Chicago, all the street niggas out there, doing exactly what I said, honestly, what I expect, And we're going to play that short, and then we're going to break it down. Also, shout out to, I just tapped in with a chick, her name, Carmen JC, on YouTube. Subscribe to her channel, man. She's definitely dope, man. She has this video that I want to play. It's about Obama. And the reason why I want to play is because she breaks down everything so diligently, and it was a good video. But more importantly, everybody is complaining about everything that Trump is doing. I live in New Jersey, a Democratic state, and everybody has an opinion about Trump, but nobody really even, knows why they don't like Trump. Nobody really even knows what's really going on. They, turn on the news for the little 10, 15 minutes before they go to work, might place a certain somebody on YouTube that they watch because they're a liberal or whatever the case may be. So if you're watching somebody that's liberal, just like if you're watching somebody that's conservative, that's the type of information that you're going to get. Even though I'm more of a conservative, but I'm more rounded and open, so I can watch different people and get different perspectives on things. But at the same time, some people can't. Some people can only tap in with CNN and MSNBC, and they don't watch Fox at all because they've been manipulated to think that Fox is the ones that's telling lies and everybody else on legacy media is telling you the truth. When I know for a fact that if it's even Fox does some fuck shit sometimes, or doesn't report something accurately, but not as much as CNN, MSNBC, and ABC, NBC, all of them. So, I just find it really funny how everybody is complaining about every single thing that Donald Trump does. But when you really look at it, my thing is everything that he's doing, at least from my perspective, looks like he's trying to better America. You know what I mean? Even though, like, for instance, like, people bring up the tariffs a lot. Like, bro, you wouldn't let somebody just, if you had a food truck, you wouldn't let somebody come and sell food out your food truck. And if your food truck was big enough to do so, and you said, okay, you would look at it like a business opportunity. Oh, yeah, you could sell food out my food truck. I sell tacos, you sell chicken, and yeah, I'll take 15, 20% of whatever you sell. You're not just gonna say, "Oh yeah, you can come work on my food truck." No, because they're gonna be taking business from you. It's the same thing, bro. Trump is saying for far too long, for decades, these countries have been selling goods in our country, and we're not. We're just letting them just put goods in our countries, and we're not benefiting benefiting from it. So he put tariffs on these countries, also mainly to open up their markets, because they were putting big tariffs on us, but we weren't putting tariffs back on them. So it's just a lot of things that we don't know. And it's a lot of things that I'm starting to find out. And I'm like, oh, so it just opens up my eye. Like I said, and I say it again, I never was neither a Democrat or a Republican. But because I was black, always, obviously, we lean towards being a Democrat, because everybody around you, especially from where I'm from in New Jersey, everybody's a Democrat if you're black. Like, you know, that's just what it is, bro. When Obama ran for his first term, especially, everybody that was black voted for Obama. He gave everybody hope. He made everybody feel as though, you know, he was gonna, he was a slick talker. Very witty, very educated, uh, um, and so he knew how to talk, and he knew how to manipulate the people. So I want to play a video that Carmen JC um kind of she goes into depth about Obama and how he was just a plant, you know, for the bigger picture of things. So it just be a lot more things that are going on that's bigger than we could fathom, to be honest with you. And that's why you have people like Alex Jones, and a lot of people that's coming that had these conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But these are people that are knee deep into the politics world, like way further than I will ever be. You know what I mean? So we only kind of scratching the surface with some of the things that's going on. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. I just hate seeing all the negativity around everything that Trump is doing. But it seems as though that, for instance, going in Chicago, everybody's out there protesting and causing a ruckus, but really it's just an opportunity for them to loot, steal, fuck up businesses. It's to cause chaos, and it's working. That's one thing I give the Democrats, bro. They know how to cause chaos, bro, and they do it very, very well. And so they have a strong following, bro. The Democrats have a strong following of Americans. So anytime they say go, people are willing to go. And on top of that, these people are have big donors like George Soros, like what's her name, Christine, um, the hire from Walmart. It's plenty of them who have big money, who are willing to pay people. So there's a lot of people going out there because people fucked up. People fucked up because of Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are fucked up because of COVID. All of these things happen, and now all of these elites are, taking advantage of the poor. And they got them out there doing the dirty work. So people are protesting about shit they don't even know about. Meanwhile, Trump is, trying to bring jobs back to America, lowering taxes, trying to eliminate taxes, trying to eliminate the IRS, trying to limit the FICO, so that way, you have a better chance of getting a loan to start your business. Also, he got the one big beautiful bill, which there's a lot of benefits for small businesses in there, and things like that. It's just so much things that he's doing that I feel as though it's honestly benefiting us. It's not benefiting China. It's not benefiting Russia. It's not benefiting fucking, these foreign interests, you know? And these donors like George Soros, who we talked about in the last episode, man. But let's get into this video with RJ Talks, man. He gonna break down all of this shit. is going on.
Monday, September 7th, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent pushing back this morning against growing concerns that the U.S. is heading for a full-blown recession after that shockingly bad jobs print last week. So bad, in fact, the Fed now signaling a massive rate cut is coming. President Trump's wanted to front-run this for months. Well, it's happening, folks, and it's not just one cut. Get ready, because in 10 days, everything changes for the U.S. economy. The brakes are finally coming off, and big news about Trump's reciprocal tariff policy, the fate of Trump's entire economic agenda coming down to a single Supreme Court decision. And we're learning one member of the court, one key justice, a conservative justice, may not be on board. Not good.
And businesses and consumers. So just bottom line, Mr. Secretary, do you acknowledge that these tariffs are a tax on American consumers?
No, I don't.
Even though you have companies saying they are going to have to increase prices, and given the fact that 86% of these tariffs so far have been paid by Americans.
You're quoting Goldman Sachs. So
yes, Goldman Sachs, correct.
I made
Which I said, yeah.
I made a good career trading against Goldman Sachs.
Okay, all right.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent rejecting forecasts from Moody's and Goldman Sachs this morning after they were warning recession is coming, that the slowing in hiring and these manufacturing job losses, they say, are pointing to something deeper, a real weakness in the U.S. economy. Corporate media, of course, grabbing onto these headlines, running with them, just like they did in April when Trump first announced.
It's funny, right, when you talk about this whole jobs report thing too, man, because at my job, right, they're actually laying off at my job. And they're saying they're saying, so this is what I pay attention, doing this podcast and shit, and just being like in tune as I possibly can. I be paying attention to shit, right? So, so at my job, they said I had a meeting, right, and they were saying that they were laying off because nobody's buying, right? They said that the product is being made, but they are not selling it, right? Meanwhile, everything you would think, okay, if you're laying off and things aren't selling, you wouldn't be pushing out as much product, as my job is. And last week it was, it was like, okay, it seemed that way. This week that just passed, it was being pushed out a lot more. So I'm like thinking in my mind, like, hold on, for everything to be not selling, y'all are sure pushing out a lot of product. These trucks are going out, and not just to, because we have a warehouse where they, stash shit basically, but it's not just going there. So I'm thinking in my mind, are they doing this on purpose? Because listen, bro, if you think, like I said, bro, these people, listen, the job I work for is a big, big company, right? These people have money, right? And them laying people off benefits the company. Why? Because it's one less person that they have to pay to do the job. And everybody else, the job is still going, like I said, and at a fast pace, like it normally does. It's not slowing down, which would then I can understand the layoffs. So now people like me at the job are doing more work and there's less employees because they're laying off. So the company is still making the money because they're still putting out the same amount of product. But at the same time, they're laying people off, so people are losing out. And now, this is just one company. So just imagine all the companies. I live in New Jersey, but now we talk about across the nation. If they're all in tune. One thing about the Democrats, and even Trump said this, they stick together, bro. That's one thing that they do. I give them that. They stick together. So you got to think in your mind, if they all were in cahoots together and saying, okay, yo, we're going to lay off because we're going to have this report dropping at the end of August saying that, you know, the jobs, we're losing a lot of jobs. If you think that they won't go and do them type of things just to make Trump look bad, you're bugging. But it just made me think about this. When I'm watching this, it just made me think about it. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, this is just funny, you know? So when he says it's like a deeper thing going on, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, damn, that's kind of deep.
It's Liberation Day. These are the same people who told us to sell your stocks 4 months ago in the heat of the market crash at the bottom. Well, what's happened since? The fastest stock market recovery in U.S. history. So keep that in mind when listening to these people, because they're at it again. All of the Sunday morning shows trotting out the same exact talking points, using the BLS's flawed data, citing the massive job growth we saw under the Biden administration and how Trump's policies, they say, are jeopardizing everything. You can't make this up. The problem with that, of course, is that all of the job gains under Joe Biden went where? To foreign-born immigrant workers. Americans lost jobs. Native-born Americans had negative job growth for 4 consecutive years under the Biden administration. You could see it in this chart. It's clear as day. We've been covering this for years. It's hands down the most important political econ story right now, one that finally the Trump administration is aware of and are running with. Watch.
What we are seeing is the jobs that are being created are going to either native-born or legal Americans. Most of the jobs created under the Biden administration, they went to illegal aliens.
Well, and I think that there would be a lot of debate over the fact that they went to illegal aliens, but let's keep moving.
No.
Yo, this is what I don't like about her, bro. She is a silly ass bitch. And this is what I don't like about her. It's just that this is what I don't like about the news, period, is that it's not, let's give the American people accurate, actual news. It's, I'm a Democrat, right? Because you got to remember, even though it's supposed to be the news and they're not supposed to be biased, all of these people are human, bro. And they all have political leanings, just like most people do, right? Especially people like that are educated, right? Quote unquote. You know, she's a Democrat, bro. So she can't, so everything is, how can I make Trump look bad? You know what I mean? So they'll always have these anonymous sources who are experts who said this, this, and that. You know what I mean? But they don't tell you who the source is. So it's hearsay, right? But you put it out there as if it's accurate facts and manipulate the people, bro. That's all this is about. It's theater, bro. They just want to manipulate the people. So he made a claim because he's in the government. He sees the data. He sees what's going on. And he's telling her that during Biden's administration, most of the jobs went to illegal immigrants. And she's quick to dismiss his claim, and she wants to move on. And he's like, oh, no. Like, and this is what they always do. And she's one of the best at it. She's one of the best at it, bro. She is, all she does is she makes these wild, outlandish claims, right? From most of the time, it's from anonymous sources. And then when you have a rebuttal, she wants to dismiss it. Oh, well, you know, people might disagree with you, but yeah, I want to get onto this, and she wants to move on. Like, this is what I don't respect about these news outlets.
That's
and this is why most people don't.
Okay, let's keep moving.
The good news is that in 10 days, the Fed can now save face. They can use this bad August jobs print to begin cutting rates. The betting market showing an 85% chance that we'll see a 50 basis point cut next weekend. And that's not all. Fed Governor Waller saying he'd prepare for multiple cuts in the next 4 months. Not one, but 3, maybe more. A full-fledged rate cutting cycle is about to start. Watch.
So give me your view of why the 2-year looks like it's potentially got a couple cuts in it. Is that your view? Is it one cut and then many more? How do you game things out over the next several months?
Well, I've been clear that I think we should be cutting at the next meeting. The labor market has come in much softer. When I first said this with you, I think, a while back,
Yeah.
People thought I was crazy. But once the labor market data came in on August 1st, it became pretty clear that the labor market was not performing up to what everybody thought from the original estimates. But we were getting all this anecdotal evidence at the time saying no hiring, no firing, firms were laying off, rates were going up for new entrants, AI was potentially causing problems. So all that soft data, ADP had big negative numbers, so all that data didn't seem to match up with what the BLS was putting out. And that's kind of where I felt like the BLS numbers have got to be off in some way. And then we found out in August that they really were. So I think because of that, and you want to get ahead of having the labor market go down, because usually when the labor market turns bad, it turns bad fast in a non-linear fashion. It doesn't just kind of creep up. So for me, I think we need to start cutting rates at the next meeting, and then we don't have to go in a locked sequence of steps. We can kind of see where things are going because people are still worried about tariff inflation. I'm not, but everybody else is. So I would say over the next 3 to 6 months, we could see multiple cuts coming in. Whether it's like every meeting, we'll have to wait and see what the data says.
What this means is the brakes are coming off. Exactly what President Trump's been calling for months. Even before he was inaugurated, he saw this coming. All of this stuff comes in cycles, right? Trump knows this. It's why he wanted to cut 8 months ago regardless. The cuts are finally here. The press spending their time this morning focusing on this poor August jobs report, thinking it hurts the president, that the Trump administration's concerned about this. They're not. They wanted this report to come in low, to be poor, to allow the Fed the leeway to begin cutting rates. The only real concern right now of Trump's econ team is the legal battle.
Hey, yo, if that's true, that's actually smart, though. And I can see that, bro. Yo, people be sleeping on Donald Trump, bro. And, like, also, I've said this in the beginning when I started doing this. Yo, this nigga is a businessman, number one. And it's different for him this go-around, bro. This go-around, he's expecting everything. You got to understand, bro. People like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, all of these dudes are sharks, bro. They're sharks. They're in a different world than us, bro. And the way they look at shit, remember they was talking about the dollar, and now he said that, basically like the devaluing of the dollar is actually a good thing. For the average layman person like me and you, we'll look at that and be like, well, how is that the case? But these people deal in a different tax bracket, bro. And even with when they was talking on that Treasury interview just now, just like you could just like, this is why like I be so into this shit, because like we so far removed, bro, just from education. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And this is why I be getting into this, man, because I just need to stay in tune on what's going on so I know what to expect and how to move in my household. You feel me? And that's what everybody should be doing. But yeah, that's actually smart though.
Over Trump's reciprocal tariffs. This is a big deal. It's a big story. And from what I'm hearing, has the Trump administration spooked. The 5 days last week where Trump was MIA apparently had to do with this. Trump stopped his public appearances the day after the appeals court ruling came down. That was the ruling where they said Trump's use of reciprocal tariffs violated the Constitution, that only Congress can impose taxes unless specific authority is granted to the president, the absolute worst ruling they could have handed out. When this ruling came down, from what we understand, there was like a red alarm fire in the West Wing, because what this means is the entire tariff policy now sits in the hands of a single Supreme Court decision. They didn't think it would come to that. Trump apparently summoning Scott Bessent, Kevin Hassett, the whole team on what plan B would be should they lose in the Supreme Court. Apparently, they've gotten some inkling, some information from someone around Justice Amy Coney Barrett that she's appalled, apparently, by the idea that a U.S. president thinks he has the authority to unilaterally impose a tax through executive fiat. Now, is that what Trump did? I don't think so. I don't agree tariffs are a tax. The Trump administration, they don't agree either. If Trump were to lose in the Supreme Court, that's not good. That throws his entire first 8 months into limbo. All the negotiating leverage that he's gained, all the new trade deals that he's signed, all the leverage he's built with these other countries would be in jeopardy. They would just be tossed out the window. Even Scott Bessent acknowledging this morning, this would be a setback. Watch.
Let me ask you, if the Supreme Court rules against you on these tariffs, is the administration prepared to offer rebates?
So, Kristen, I am confident that we will win at the Supreme Court, but there are numerous other avenues that we can take. They diminish President Trump's negotiating position, but there are numerous in terms of, and remember, this isn't about the dollars, this is about balance. The dollars are an after amount.
Would you offer rebates, though? Are you prepared to offer rebates?
So we would have to give a refund on about half the tariffs, which would be terrible for the Treasury.
And you're prepared to give those refunds?
Well, I mean, there's no be prepared. If the court says it, we'd have to do it. But, you know, let's look back.
So far, tariff revenue since
Yo, why they want us to fail, bro? That when I see stuff like this, it's all I think in my mind. It's like, why do they want us to fail? Why? It's crazy, bro. Like you're a Supreme Court justice, right? You work on the Supreme Court, and you see Trump's agenda with tariffs is causing him to get deals done, is opening up markets. Because at the end of the day, it's like this. If they come to the table, they make a deal that both agree on, both parties are happy, cool, good trading, good trade deal, good business, we good. What's wrong with that? He already said the tariffs are a negotiating tool. So for them, I would see if he was on like some shit like, I don't know, forcing other countries to bring goods in and you know, taking all the revenue from it or something. I don't know. But my whole thing is it's nothing like that. It's basically saying, yo, we want fair trade. That's it. It's no more, you know, for 40, 50 years, y'all have been selling goods in our country. Y'all been taxing us all crazy. And now when the playing field is even, now it's a problem. But see, that's the issue. You know, for these other countries, is that they were getting over. They were getting over on Obama. They was getting, over on Joe Biden and other presidents. And now, that's not the case no more. Because all of these people are bought, bro. They bought and paid for it, man. You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest thing. And that's why, you know, I fuck with a lot of stuff that Trump does, is because you just understand that he's not a puppet. He's not bought and paid for it. So, I don't know, man. This shit get deep, though.
Expiration day have reached around $180 billion. That means we're closing in on $300 billion by the end of the year in new federal revenues. If we were to lose that, it would be a massive embarrassment to the Trump administration, cause economic chaos. All that money would have to be returned, refunded. Yeah. The markets, realize, have embraced tariffs so far only because it brings our fiscal house in order. We now have over $37 trillion in national debt. Without that tariff revenue, we would likely be forced to turn to some real form of yield curve control, the type you see in Japan with Japan's central bank. There's a big difference between quantitative easing and yield curve control. So there's...
You see these words he using? I don't know what he mean. And I want to know what he mean. And I'm going to look these words up after the show. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I want to understand what he's talking about. I know he's talking about finance. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about the markets and shit like that. And I want to know what he's talking about so I can understand it. So when they're having these types of conversations about tariffs and things like that, I know. You know, and it's honestly an embarrassment as a 36-year-old that I don't understand what he's talking about when it comes to these certain things. you know, and that's just the difference in culture, you know. It's crazy, super crazy.
High stakes involved here surrounding Trump's trade, fiscal, and monetary policies. When Scott Bessent was confirmed as Treasury Secretary, he was warned about embracing tariffs like he has. Fed officials, Wall Street, even some big manufacturing companies warned him not to sign on wholeheartedly to Trump's tariff plan. Well, he has, and he's smart. Even this morning, doubling down, expressing confidence that by Q4 this year, we're going to see the U.S. economy go gangbusters, that it takes time. All of these companies reshoring their factories back to the States, it doesn't happen overnight.
Tell you, the one thing this administration is not going to do, and we are not going to let the Democrat media surrogates do, is during President Biden, President Harris's campaign, they told the American people, it's a vibe session. You don't understand how good you have it. President Trump was elected for change, and we are going to push through with the economic policies that are going to set the economy right. I believe by the fourth quarter, we're going to see a substantial acceleration.
So it looks like it's all coming down to a single Supreme Court decision on tariff authority. It's a gamble, and a good investor never gambles. Donald Trump does not like to gamble. All right, that wraps up the news portion of this video. Now let me tell you about the sponsor for today, Next-Gen Digital Platforms. You can see the ticker on the screen. You're one of the first and through bills that were just signed into law by President Trump. First, the Genius Act, establishing the first federal regulatory framework for stablecoins, signed by Trump on July 18th. Then the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, also known as the Clarity Act, clarifying whether specific digital assets are securities or commodities, assigning oversight to the two relevant agencies. This was a huge win for the crypto industry, passed the House with broad bipartisan support, and now heading to the Senate. And the third is the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, prohibiting the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency, a CBDC.
And so the House now voting on legislation that will prohibit the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency to individuals or from using similar digital assets to implement the Fed's monetary policy. This is a 5-minute vote.
The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Citing concerns over government surveillance and competition with private digital currencies. And look, right after that happened, Trump Media announced that it now owns $2 billion in Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Yes, Trump Media announced that. Also, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick saying he personally owns hundreds of millions of Bitcoin, and he said he believes it's going to be billions. Our Secretary of Commerce, folks.
I would say I have hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin. And it will be billions.
I was going to say, so next year when you come back and we'll do this again and you'll be a Bitcoin billionaire and
yeah, but you remember that model I told you. So if every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer.
My point is that the world's largest economy and the largest government in the world is pro-crypto and bullish on it. And its Secretary of Commerce is as well. Therefore, I'm constantly looking for new potential opportunities to present to you, and I'm thrilled to be probably the first person and channel to profile next-gen digital platforms anywhere online. Think about that and the value of learning about it before anyone else. The company has immediately gone to work and already acquired 1 million Canadian.
All right, yeah, so he kind of just breaking down this whole next-gen thing. But yeah, let's move on from this. Let's get into this. So I'm gonna play this short about. So on the last podcast or the one before that, I mentioned that I ain't gonna lie. I believe that when Trump brings the National Guard into Chicago, that them little niggas out there really gonna be shooting it out with the National Guard, and this might actually be a thing. So let's watch this short real quick. Let me rewind this.
Guys, I'm on the ground at the Federal Plaza where you can see workers setting up this barricade here. Guys, I'm gonna keep you updated as this unfolds.
Well,
so basically, the guy was walking around. I fast forwarded because I didn't want. I wanted to get to the part that I wanted to really show. Well, basically, they were just showing that they was putting up barricades and stuff like that, trying to protect the buildings because they know they're going to be protesting and doing all a bunch of nut shit. So that was basically what that was showing.
I guess the forecast in Chicago calls for snow. That's an awful lot of salt trucks. That's an awful lot of... I don't see this many salt trucks when it fucking snows. Blocking off Grant Park for the taste. Or something.
Trump, do not send the National Guard to Chicago, gang. Do not, I repeat, do not do it. We are a different breed out here, nigga. We are not Los Angeles. Nigga, we are not Washington, D.C. This is Chicago. Go fight back. I'm telling you, go fight back, gang. Whatever, I don't give a what you talking about. Them young switches, gang. They not going for that, bro. I know a bunch of y'all finna say, oh, it's the National Guard. They can't do anything about it. They must go in Chicago. Do y'all know that it's more bad people than good people, bro? There are over 100,000 gangs in Chicago by the city by itself, gang.
Man, Trump talking about something. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. You about to find out why it's called direct. Goofy ass. We ain't scared of this shit.
Quiet part out loud.
Yo, it's wild. The culture and what's happening in these cities like Chicago is worse than we previously thought. There are people that are online that are basically warning Trump about the National Guard and or the military actually appearing in the city of Chicago. And they think that the young bulls over there or the gangsters and all of that. And I seen this one lady, maybe I'll do a separate review video to it. I seen this one older lady and she was saying that the Crips and the Bloods is coming together in order to, fight against ICE. And I'm not really sure if y'all understand what y'all saying. Number one, you cannot make a threat on the president of the United States of America. I'm not sure where y'all been at and how y'all think that this is going to fly in any shape, capacity, way, or form. But that is not the wave, bro. You don't want to even be online feeling comfortable, even if it's not a direct threat, an indirect threat, anything that can be taken as a threat. That's not what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's wild, bro. Hey, yo, that's wild. Them niggas is crazy, bro. And the craziest part is, bro, I believe them. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna tell you this, bro. You talking about a bunch of young niggas with switches and all of this, who when they get out the car, doing all of this wild shit, acting like they fucking Rambo, but you going up against this. Pat niggas on the back. Go, 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 go. Militant shit. Motherfuckers really be in the range with it. You know what I'm saying? You in the backyard shooting soda cans and shit. It's a difference, bro. I'm telling you. It's not like you talk like dude was saying, oh, it's over 100,000 gangs or whatever the case may be. No, it's 100,000 people that's low IQ, bro. It's just the reality of it, man. And honestly, it's sad because people we out here fighting for the wrong shit, bro. I'm gonna just be honest with you, man. We out here fighting for the wrong shit. And honestly, man, it's gonna be a long time, man, before we actually get back to a place that's like actually like good, man. Like we so far gone, it's crazy. Like the fact that you get on you feel comfortable getting on the internet, even telling the president of the United States not to do something is wild. But if it was something respectable, like motherfucker was really violating, I can understand people feeling a certain way. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to clean up crime and people getting murdered. So it's like, if you don't want Donald Trump to come to Chicago or LA or New York or anywhere that's crazy, just stop killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, my nigga, you can sell drugs without killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get money without killing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, bro. This shit weird, bro. I just, it's sad, man. I was actually watching a video, man, I forget this guy's name. I'm about to see if I can find it. But he got a popular channel, and he actually was doing a video. Where was he at? He was in Detroit. His name is Tyler Oliveria, some shit like that. And he got a big channel, and he went to Detroit and was like in the hood. He was like actually in the trenches, like in trap houses and everything. And he was just talking to the people, just to prostitutes, all types of people. And it was just sad though, because I'm just thinking like, man, this is just one hood in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is going on all across the nation. Like, our neighborhoods are just terrible, bro. Like, low vibration, bro. It's sad. And, when you got black people, like, for instance, Anton Daniels, shout out to him, who is a guy who is successful, who is a person who advocates for men being men, for women being women, and get into a bag, a legit bag. He got the he got something on his joint. I forgot what they call but he basically be giving game to help people, start businesses and things like that. And that's what it's about, bro. The culture that we have made cool, bro. That shit just whack, bro. Shit's so sold up, bro. The streets are so corny. You even see it, bro. You even see it. Like, you see niggas like Lil Woody and all of these different people who starting to be on some religious shit, like, and you could just see, like, man, they just tired of the street shit. And I've seen it with people that eat with the gang shit, all of it. It's weird, bro. I don't know. I guess it's part of growing up. You know what I mean? Where you actually just gotta value your life. It's a lot of people out here that just don't value their life. They really feel like they don't got nothing to live for type shit. So I guess we gotta start, we gotta make it to where people feel like they gotta live for something, man. But I don't know. Let's get into this video with Carmen JC. Shout out to her, man. Make sure you go subscribe to her channel on YouTube. She broke down this video really, really good. She brought up Joe Biden, and the video is mainly based around Obama being a puppet that he was. And let's just get into it.
But they are in jail, away from my mother.
Look, this is the guy, right? She gonna break it down, but this is the guy that everybody was meat riding and glazing, and they wanted to reelect him. This is the guy who was the main component of mass incarceration in the United States of America.
Your husband, our families.
1994 crime bill, it did contribute to mass incarceration in our country.
In the meantime, an awful lot of people were jailed for minor drug crimes after the
Exactly right.
Was it a mistake to support it?
Let me just say it up front.
Exactly
Barack Obama
right.
was not a win for the culture. He was a setup. He didn't save us. He sedated all of us. He didn't fight for the people. He fronted for the elites. And the fact that people is still worshiping him like he is some type of untouchable icon tells us how deep the psychological manipulation really went. They branded him as hope. Hollywood turned him into a hero. And let's be honest, America got caught in the fantasy. But Black America, we treated him like he was the second coming to Jesus. Meanwhile, he picked Joe Biden for his vice president, the man that wrote the actual blueprint for mass incarceration. He bailed out the banks that stole millions of homes from working class families, and not just Black people, Latino, white, everybody. He pushed LGBT and gender ideology harder than he pushed marriage, fatherhood, or actual healing in any community. He didn't fix anything. He repackaged dysfunction in a tailored suit and sold it as progress. And quite frankly, I find him disgusting, and his wife too. If she's really his wife, I find her disgusting as well. These people never cared.
That's Michael.
About the Black community. They never cared about America. They care about symbolism, celebrities, and stand in the elite's good graces. Obama didn't save us. He psychologically disarmed us, and he drove a wedge between Black and white Americans like we hadn't seen in decades. He didn't unite this country. He split it clean down the middle and weaponized identity to do it. So this episode is not just for Black people. It's for anyone who still believes the illusion, anyone who thinks race loyalty means silence, anyone who's been watching the country spiral and wondering why and how this happened. Because if you think Obama was a win for the people, you've been hypnotized. So today we're breaking the trance. We're pulling back the curtain on the branding, the policies, and the propaganda, and exposing how Obama became the most dangerous kind of puppet, one who looked like us, but never moved with us. I'm Carmen JC, and I'm here to wake people up. Make sure you like this video so it gets around because more people need to hear the truth. Let's get into it. They didn't pick him because he was special. They picked him because he was obedient. Barack Obama didn't arise from the streets of Chicago by shaking hands with everyday people and earning their trust. He was selected, protected, and strategically inserted into the political machine. And quite frankly, that's the part the Black community still don't want to admit. He played the game and he played it well. In 1995, State Senator Alice Palmer, a respected Black woman in Chicago politics, decided to run for Congress. She gave Obama her blessing to run for her Illinois State Senate seat. But when her congressional campaign failed miserably, she came back to reclaim her seat. Obviously, Obama was like, no, and she had to run against him. But he didn't just run against her. He challenged her nominating petitions, he questioned the validity of her signatures, and he got her kicked off the ballot. In fact, every single one of the opponents was challenged and eliminated. Obama ran unopposed and won by default. That was the first red flag, and the machine took notice. He wasn't just ambitious, he was useful. Obama's early years were rooted in grassroots organizing like the media wants you to believe. He rose under the shadow of Mayor Richard N.G.L.A, who served as Chicago's mayor for 20 plus years from 1989 to 2011. The Daley regime was pure political rot. City jobs were handed to insiders, rigged contracts, and corruption scandals everywhere. And here's where it gets even tighter. Valerie Jarrett, who would later become Obama's closest advisor in the White House, worked directly with Mayor Daley as a deputy chief of staff. That connection was already baked into the system he was rising through. Obama didn't fight this corruption. He maneuvered around it quietly and strategically. By the time we reached the year 2000, Obama had made his first big leap and ran for Congress against Bobby Rush, a former Black Panther and a sitting congressman. He lost badly. That loss probably showed him that to win at the next level, you don't need ambition, you need real power and backing. And that's exactly what he started to build. One of his biggest political boosters was Emil Jones Jr., the Illinois Senate president. Jones mentored Obama, treated him like a political son, and most importantly, gave Obama credit for major legislative accomplishments by putting his name on key bills. That move helped create the illusion that Obama had a stacked legislative resume perfectly timed to run for U.S. Senate. And Jones didn't stop there. He cleared the runway for Obama's rise. Nobody in Chicago's political class seriously opposed Obama's Senate run because Emil Jones was behind him. And in return for all the political protection, Obama never once challenged the Daley machine. He looked the other way as corruption ran rampant, as communities crumbled, and as crime exploded in Chicago's South and West Sides. He never addressed it, never exposed it, never acknowledged it because that was the deal. But let's be clear. His run for U.S. Senate was literally just given to him considering that Blair Hull, a wealthy Democrat and a major contender, collapsed after divorce documents revealed allegations of verbal and physical abuse, with reports saying that his ex requested a restraining order and accused him of threatening their child. That made his campaign completely fall apart. Then you have Jack Ryan, the Republican nominee and the former Goldman Sachs partner who was destroyed in June 2004 when sealed custody records were unsealed. Not suspiciously, of course, exposing alleged sex club behavior and pressure for public sex acts with his wife. The media frenzy forced him to drop out, and just like that, the path cleared and Obama walked straight through to become the next U.S. Senator. Behind the scenes, David Axelrod was the one crafting the image, a former political reporter turned media consultant for Chicago's elite. Axelrod had been a mouthpiece for the Daily Machine and now was building Obama into a brand, not a senator, but a president in waiting. After winning the Senate, Obama didn't waste time. He hired Peter Rouse, one of the most seasoned DC insiders, and immediately began building a national campaign operation. He was backed by all the political elites: Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citibank, Chase, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, insiders like David Geffen, Oprah, and George Soros. From Silicon Valley to Hollywood, they were all on board. Just think, he was very close with Rahm Emanuel, who later became the mayor of Chicago, replacing Mayor Daley. Very close with Hollywood insider Ari Emanuel, Rahm's brother, one of the most powerful agents in entertainment. And he was also backed by Zeke Emanuel, the third brother, who helped author his healthcare legislation. Interesting. You know, nothing says grassroots like being besties with one of the most connected brothers in politics, medicine, and Hollywood. Meanwhile, the media sold him as a grassroots miracle. Sure, Obama collected more small donations than anyone at that time, but he collected even more money from Wall Street bundlers, big tech donors, and corporate elites. The grassroots narrative, an illusion, a brilliant one, but a lie all the same. Obama wasn't rising in spite of the machine. He was the machine's newest product. So by the time it's January 21st, 2007, the official announcement, Obama declared he was running for president. Let's be clear, the groundwork was already laid, the branding was polished, the media was drooling, and the billionaire class was all in. And Black America, we were just excited to see someone who looked like us, even though nothing he stood for actually served us. Obama didn't disrupt the system, he perfected it. He removed his mentor, crushed opponents through technicalities, and climbed each rung of power without ever getting his hands dirty. He made betrayal look like hope. He made manipulation look like progress. He wasn't revolutionary. He was a Trojan horse in a tailored suit crafted to emotionally disarm a generation while the elite pulled the strings. Before we get into the housing crisis, we got to stop and talk about one of the biggest slaps in the face that Black Americans completely overlooked, and that was Obama making Joe Biden his vice president. Let's cut the fairy tale. This wasn't hope, it was betrayal in a suit. You mean to tell me that the first so-called Black president, the one we cried for, danced for, and called a win for the culture, picked the same man who helped design the blueprint for mass incarceration? Joe Biden didn't just vote for the bills, he wrote them. The 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act handed down mandatory minimums with 100-to-1 sentencing ratios. 5 grams of crack, 5 years in prison, no parole. But 500 grams of powdered cocaine, which white folks use, got the same sentence. And it gets worse. The bill gave cops the power to take your home, your car, your cash without a conviction. It stripped inmates of Pell Grants so they wouldn't get an education, and it flooded Black neighborhoods with police and federal surveillance. Then in 1994, Biden doubled down with the crime bill, nearly $10 billion handed out to states to build more prisons, but only if they passed tougher laws. More prisons, more police, more lives ruined. Specifically, Black lives ruined. 3 strikes, life in prison. Juveniles being charged as adults, gang enhancements, surveillance in schools and housing complexes, and once again, no college access behind bars, no education, just cages. And Obama said, yeah, that's my guy. You literally cannot make this up. Let's take a look at this clip of Joe Biden standing in front of Congress. Take a listen.
I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. I remember when it was going on, when I was making these arguments in the late 70s, they used to call it Biden's same time for the same crime provision. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malfactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families.
Now let's take and listen to a more older Joe Biden singing a very different song.
What I was against was giving states more money for prison systems that they could build, state prison systems. And you have 93 out of every 100 people in jail now is in a state prison, not in a federal prison, because they built more prisons. I also wrote into that bill a thing called drug courts. I don't believe anybody should be going to jail for drug use. They should be going into mandatory rehabilitation. We should be building rehab centers to have.
You notice that was the young Joe Biden who was, this is why I say when people get in, that's who they are. Over time, as they get seasoned and they start, rubbing shoulders and all of that, get networking, then they change their tune depending on how it's going to benefit them politically, bro. You know what I mean? Like him passing that crime bill, he knew that would directly affect black people. He knew that. And she's going to make a great point in here, and I've said this before, that, bro, black people didn't invent crack. We didn't invent drugs. You know what I'm saying? Niggas ain't mad scientists. Motherfuckers was showed how to do this shit, bro. You seen the stories with Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross. You know what I'm saying? How he was in tune with a big cartel dude who was working for the government. I believe that was Ricky Ross. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is deep, bro. This shit is real, real deep, bro.
These people housed. We should wipe out. We should decriminalize marijuana. Wipe out the record so you can actually say in honesty, you ever been arrested for anything? You can say no, because we're going to pass a law saying there is no background that you have to reveal relative to the use of marijuana. And so there's a lot of things, but in addition to that, we got to change the system. I joined with a group of people in the House to provide for changing the system from punishment to rehabilitation. Along with a guy named Arlen Specter, who you may remember, I wrote the Second Chance Act.
But in the meantime, an awful lot of people were jailed for minor drug crimes after the
Exactly right.
Was it a mistake to support it?
Yes, it was. But here's where the mistake came. The mistake came in terms of what the states did locally. What we did federally, we said it was, and you remember, George, it was all about the same time for the same crime.
And let me just say this before anybody tries to twist it. None of this is about playing victim. There's a difference from being a victim and calling out what actually happened. One is weakness, the other is awareness. Because most Black Americans personally know someone whose life was ruined by these bills. This is not a theory. This is reality. Families were destroyed. Dad's gone. Son's gone. Whole family trees ripped apart, not by the streets, but by policy. And just for the record, Black people didn't invent crack. That is not us. We are not chemists. We don't know how to manipulate controlled substances into a cheaper, more addictive form and mass distribute it through the community. That has the CIA and the cartel written all over it. Now, sure, they might have rolled it through our neighborhoods and taught people how to cook it up, but let's not act like it was born out of the Black community. No, that was an operation executed by the CIA. Facts. They got us addicted. They watched crime go up, and they used that chaos as strategy to flood our neighborhoods with cops, seize our homes, separate our families, and profit from the destruction. And they knew this would happen every step of it. This was never about public safety. This was a setup, and they knew it. Even Kamala Harris knew it.
That's what and that's like, she made a very good point, bro. And the fact of the matter is that these, like I said, bro, these people plan years in advance, bro. These are people who have scientists, people who study the brain and just know how to manipulate the people, bro. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? And we didn't invent crack. We didn't invent these drugs that he put in the inner city. They had a whole movie. I forget what the movie is called. What was the reporter's name, man? What was his name? I forget his name, man. But they had a whole movie on this reporter who exposed the whole CIA funding the drugs. They literally were funding this shit, bro. Like, this shit is real wicked, bro. This is why I said, like, the government, I do not like the government because I know a lot of the, crazy shit that the government has done over decades, to black people, to just to us as citizens. Like, it's so bad, bro. Like, seriously. It's not even funny. Like,
take a listen to this clip of Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
That 1994 crime bill, it did contribute to mass incarceration in our country. It encouraged and was the first time that we had a federal three strikes law. It funded the building of more prisons in the states.
Three strikes. Just imagine
people
that.
who helped create the problem are suddenly saying, "Yeah, maybe we overdid it." You think?
Like, if you was getting, like, I think even if it was minor offense, I'm not 100% sure, but I think even if, like, because they were saying, like, you can get up to, I think it was 5 years for 5 grams of crack. So just imagine if you sold drugs and you were an uneducated black man and, like, that's all you knew how to do, and you got caught selling more than 5 grams of crack 3 times and you got arrested and charged. And then you was getting life in prison for selling 5 grams of crack. Right now, people are getting out for selling bundles. Like, niggas getting caught with hella drugs and are literally walking right out. Like, right out the front door. It's wicked, bro.
Nah, you don't get a cookie for admitting it decades later while still benefiting from the system that you helped build. This is why Obama choosing Biden matter. Because when you pick the guy who architected this mess, you're not fixing the system. You're preserving it. Let me say this again. Obama picking Biden wasn't a mistake. It was a message that representation doesn't mean liberation, a message that they will give you a black face to keep you emotionally loyal while handing the real power right back to the same man who helped destroy your community from the inside out. And sadly, a lot of us clap for it like fools. Now let's move on to how they fumbled the housing crisis and left black Americans, well, all Americans, out in the cold once again. So why am I telling you about the rise of Obama? Because it didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened during one of the biggest economic collapses in modern history, the housing crash. And when he stepped in, he didn't rescue the American people. He rescued the elites that caused it. J.P. Morgan, the same elite that donated to him. Goldman Sachs, another elite that donated to him. Citigroup, another one of his top donors. These were the people Barack Obama bailed out. Not working class families who lost their homes, not the single moms trying to get the lights on, and not black Americans who saw their generational wealth gutted overnight. When Obama got into office in 2009, the country was bleeding. People weren't just hurting, they were wiped out. 8.8 million jobs were lost during the crisis. Over 10 million families lost their homes. White households lost about 11% of their wealth. Latino households lost 44%, and black households lost over 31% of their wealth, the largest loss of black wealth in modern U.S. history. Entire neighborhoods were gutted, generations of savings gone. But instead of fighting for the people, Obama got to work protecting the ones who caused the collapse. He passed trillion-dollar bailouts under TARP and stimulus packages that were sold to us as relief. But the real relief went to the top, the very banks and institutions that ruined our lives. And after he saved the firms on Wall Street, the same Wall Street firms that ruined our lives, made people lose their houses, then came and bought them back. Amazing. They cleaned up their mess, profited from the chaos, and left us holding the bag. Not to mention, we paid for it. That's right. The American people didn't just get screwed over. We were forced to fund our own betrayal. The banks got bailed out. We got billed. The elites cashed out. And we cashed in our savings just to survive. Everyday Americans were drowning. And Obama threw the lifeline to Wall Street. And through it all, Obama sold the country a slogan, hope and change. But what he really sold was a fantasy, a carefully packaged emotional weapon. Let's take a listen to Obama in his own words.
All across this state, there are families who've done everything right, but who are now facing foreclosure or seeing their home values just plummet because of the bad decisions on Wall Street and in Washington. Now, the other week, Senator McCain came out with a proposal that he said would help ease the burden on homeowners by buying up bad mortgages at face value, even though they're not worth that much anymore. So here's the thing, Florida. His plan would amount to a $300 billion bailout
That's how wicked
for Wall Street banks.
Just think about that, what he's doing. So this was him selling people the hope, and then he turns right around and does the very thing that he said the same thing he's telling them that Senator McCain was trying to do. Like, bro, they're wicked, bro. Wicked, bro.
And guess what?
Yeah.
It would be paid for by all of you, the American taxpayer.
Manipulation, bro.
And that might sound like
manipulation, bro. All they want to do is get in the seat. Once they get into the seat, all the shit that they say, it don't even matter. They don't even think about you at all. Like, not even a little bit. All they needed you for that moment. They get out there, they take the pictures with the babies, they kiss you on your forehead, they shake your hand firm, they look you in your eyes. These people are crafted, all-time manipulators, dog. This is what they do. This is what they do, bro. Just to get into that power, bro.
a good idea to the former bank lobbyists who are working on Senator McCain's campaign, but that's not the change America
I
needs.
give it to him. He nice.
We have to act quickly to address this housing crisis. And that's why last March, I was calling for us to help innocent home buyers. That's why I fought to make sure the recent rescue package gives the Treasury Department the responsibility and authority to help homeowners avoid foreclosure. But we should not put your tax dollars at unnecessary risk. We should not let banks and lenders off the hook when it was their greed and irresponsibility that got us into this mess. We should not be bailing out Wall Street. We should be restoring opportunity on Main Street. And that's what I'll do when I'm president of the United States of America.
He used symbolism to manipulate us. He used identity to disarm us. And he used rhetoric to distract us from the fact that he was never with us to begin with. He wasn't sent to save us. He was installed to protect the ones who caused the collapse. He represented the people who paid for him, not the people who voted for him. He was the face of progress, funded by the architects of collapse. And the ones who suffered the most, working class families, Black communities, and the very people who thought they were finally being seen. So unfortunate. So the housing crisis was only the beginning because, boy, when I tell you Barack and Michelle Obama are a piece of work, I am not kidding. They are a piece of work. They didn't just sell us hope, they sold us a whole identity crisis. While Americans were losing their homes and jobs, the Obamas was out here making history, all right. Just not the kind of history we needed, because instead of fixing what was already broken, they helped break what was still intact: gender identity and basic common sense. Michelle was supposed to be fighting for childhood obesity, and Barack was supposed to be fixing the economy. But somehow we ended up with drag queens in classrooms, rainbow flags on embassies, and kids being taught that gender is a choice. Let me put it to you like this. Obama didn't just support the LGBT movement. He elevated above everything else. He gave it legal protection, government funding, corporate backing, and cultural priority. And it wasn't just the White House. Facebook backed Obama, Google backed Obama, and Hollywood most definitely backed Obama. And what do they all have in common? They control the platforms that shape culture, promote trends, and silence resistance. So when Obama pushed gender ideology, big tech and Hollywood amplified it, wrapped it in glitter, and piped it straight into every screen in America. And this happened all simultaneously. While Obama was pushing laws, Hollywood was pushing confusion. You had the rise of Young Money around this time when Nicki Minaj became very popular, pushed by Lil Wayne, who openly admitted that he built her to be a Barbie, which basically manufactured behavior packaged as progress. She pretended to be bisexual. I don't know if she was, maybe she wasn't. I don't know. I haven't seen her do anything super bisexual since then. She's now married with a child, but she came out extremely promiscuous, switching wigs every 30 seconds, and shaped her whole image around dysfunction and wore the most outrageous clown-like costumes, just a pure spectacle. She didn't push music, she pushed confusion. And she was also one of the first mainstream artists to push a male alter ego, Roman Zelensky, a flamboyant, violent gay male spirit who lives inside of her. Let that sink in. She didn't just create a character. She claimed a man lived inside of her. And even Beyonce around that time had created Sasha Fierce, an alter ego that supposedly made her bolder and more aggressive. But Nicki's alter ego was male, which was telling. But none of this was about music. This was all psychological warfare. The wigs, the surgeries, the alter egos, the cartoon body, it blurred the lines between real women and performance. So now man can slap on a wig and get celebrated as a bad bitch. And this whole shift, it didn't come out of nowhere. It was backed by policy, by law, and by design. Here's some of what Obama did to lay the foundation for all of this. In 2010, he repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. In 2012, he added gender identity to the Civil Rights Protection Title VII. In 2014, he signed an executive order protecting LGBTQ federal workers. And in 2016, he issued trans bathroom directive to public schools. Amazing. And what did all this do? It forced schools, companies, and institutions to adopt gender ideology or get punished. It gave activists legal power, created a culture of fear, and made disagreement dangerous. It told children that their identity is fluid, that their body is wrong, and that the truth is offensive. It didn't liberate anyone. It destabilized everything. And Michelle Obama played a major role in this too. Don't think she's innocent, because if you pay attention, they at least always like to target women and children. Just like Oprah and her School for Girls in South Africa. Michelle had Let Girls Learn. And let's be honest, there's some serious stuff going on with Oprah's school. Can we admit that? They always package it like it's about empowering girls. But behind the scenes, it's something else. Because the goal isn't to build strong women. It's to emotionally shape young girls before they can think for themselves. You don't see them pushing Let Boys Lead. You don't see elite-funded schools for young men because they're not trying to raise strong men. They're trying to confuse young women. And they know that girls are more emotionally attuned than boys. When they tap into their feelings, they'll make decisions based off emotion and not logic. Boys typically lean towards logic. Girls are easier to manipulate emotionally, and the system knows that. So they don't waste time. They start young, they target emotion, they program confusion before common sense ever has a chance. Trust me, this was never about LGBTQ rights. The elites don't care about anybody, so they definitely don't care about LGBTQ community. But LGBTQ serves as a gateway because there's a straight line from LGBTQ to transhumanism. This wasn't about gender freedom. It was a prep course for transhumanism. If they can convince you that your body isn't sacred, if they can convince you that you weren't born right, then they can come back around and tell you to put a chip in your brain or merge with AI or upload your consciousness to some cloud server. And you'll be already programmed to say yes because they spent years telling you that you can be something you're not, that you can be whatever you imagine, even if it's biologically impossible. It is not liberation. It is submission. So when you see kids who can't define what a woman is, just remember the pipeline didn't start with TikTok. It started with the Obamas. Let me be clear. Barack Obama came out of the south side of Chicago, same streets where black boys were gunning each other down, the same blocks where drill music was born from real death, not just any death. These were children. Imagine these kids walking around saying they're smoking on Tuka, and Tuka was a 14-year-old kid that was murdered by another kid. And you got the whole internet saying it. It is disgusting. And yet nothing, not a word, not a press conference, not a plan, just silence from the Obamas. Michelle, too. She's actually from Chicago. Little Miss Southside. She claimed to be so relatable as they watch these children die in the streets, do drugs, and promote dysfunction. Literally, the city that made them both became a war zone, and they didn't care. They cared about branding, hope, and change for these major corporations. But there was no hope for the American people, and there was definitely no hope for Black Americans because Obama didn't give a damn about Chicago. He didn't give a damn about Americans. He cared about his own agenda. He didn't care that they renamed Chicago Chirac. He was too busy dropping bombs in the actual Iraq. Let's take a listen to this clip of him saying exactly that. Take a listen.
Today I authorized 2 operations in Iraq. targeted airstrikes to protect our American personnel, and a humanitarian effort to help save thousands of Iraqi civilians who are trapped on a mountain without food and water and facing almost certain death.
So we're going to end it with that, man. Y'all want to check out the rest of that video, go check out her on YouTube. Her name is Carmen JC, man. But we're going to end it with that for today, man. But, yo, I played that only because people run around with this Trump derangement syndrome, and like I played this because she talked in depth about the manipulation. It's real. They have really programmed people into hating Donald Trump, right? In many things, like look at the LGBT thing, like how it literally went from. It went from like really like it was prevalent, but in certain areas like Atlanta, I think San Francisco, like it was around. But when by the time Obama got out of office, it was in every show, every movie, every sitcom. Like I don't even really like watching TV and movies no more because it's like guaranteed to be in there. It's a difference from, putting some, making a gay joke or, somebody doing some, make it like on some funny shit. Like that's always been around. You know what I'm saying? But now it's to the point where it's like it's like in children's movies. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. Like we really, after Obama, we have come to a point, bro, in America where people cannot tell you what a woman is, bro. Like what? Like people are literally telling you, I'm talking about in college institutions, they are teaching people that a man could be a woman and a woman could be a man. If they feel like they could be a woman, if they feel they're a woman, they're a woman. Gender is fluid. Like they say, bro, just crazy, wild, outlandish shit. And Obama was the architect of it, bro. And the same thing with the black community. He's worried about Iraqi civilians on the mountain, but yet, what about the black Americans that are right there in Chicago, in New York, in N.G.L.A, in New Jersey, all around, all across the nation, bro? In damn near every state, there's a city where black people are being killed on a regular. They don't care, bro. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about us, bro. All they care about is power, manipulation, and making sure everybody stays in place. Stay in your place. And how they get everybody to stay in their place is to have us going against each other. Now, it used to be, it went from just a black and white thing and even a Spanish and Jew thing and a Jew and this thing. Like, it was always some type of division amongst culture, right? But in 2025, they got that, and they got you going against LGBT. They got you going against the police, everything. Like, it's all by design, though. It's all by design. All by design, bro. Because if all I show you on the news is a white cop doing something bad to a black man, of course, as a black man, you're going to be outraged. Of course. Of course. It's not to minimize things that have happened, like what Derek Chauvin did with George Floyd. Could have been avoided? Yes. 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 If George Floyd wasn't on drugs, if he wasn't doing all the extra shit, it wouldn't have went that far. But what the cop did was out of control, and he got what he deserved. But at the same time, we're just taught to hate police. We're taught to sell drugs to our people. We're taught to slide on the ops. All of this negative, low vibration shit. Do you understand that these people do studies, bro? They have done studies, bro, on human behavior on so many different things, bro. Like deep shit. This is why they're able to manipulate the people. They understand human behavior. I'm talking about to a T. To a T, bro. To a T, bro. They know how to market shit. They know how to brand all of these things that we're seeing, and we're just falling for it, bro. We're just falling for it. And at the end of the day, you know, people be talking about like, standing up and waking up, but the real wake up is when people wake up and understand that we really got the power. We really hold the cards. But they have manipulated us to think that they hold the cards. And we're just little pawns on the chessboard, and they get to move you however they choose, because that's how they have programmed us to think. But this shit gets deep, man. And Obama was just another puppet. And the only reason why I even brought Obama up is because I'm just tired of hearing people bitch and complain, man, about Trump. And yet, Obama did so much negative shit, and on top of it, he did nothing for the black community that he was selling so much hope to, bro. So at the end of the day, like at least do your own research. Just look into shit. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can make anybody look bad. Ain't nobody out here squeaky clean, bro. But I'm talking about look into this shit look into things that Trump did and is doing. Look into it. Is every single thing that he's doing, is it going to be like 100% great? No, because in deals and in life, you got to take the good with the bad. So yes, when he was passing the one big beautiful bill, for instance, there was things that he probably had to take out or had to put in order to please, these people to get it passed. You feel what I'm saying? They had revisions and things like that. So yeah, he had to probably chalk some shit up in order to get the bill passed and get the main things that he really cared about passed. But really look into things that Donald Trump has done, bro. He has done good things for black people, bro. And it's not even like a black and a white thing or nothing like that. Just look into, because you got to just look at the last 15 years, because that's the main, like, that counts, really. All the other shit really don't matter. From Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden, look at what Joe Biden, Obama did, and look at what Trump has did and what he's doing now. And then you make your own conclusion. But make your own conclusion. Stop banking all of your information off of what you hear on CNN and Fox and all of these different news stations. Do your own research. It's not wrong with listening to these people, but at the same time, see if what they're saying is accurate. You know what I mean? Really look into it. If you look at a poll and it says, "Oh, Trump, his ratings for such and such is going down," look at who they polled. That's what I mean by look into it. Because if they only poll Democrats, of course you're going to get the outcome that they got in the poll. But see if the poll is legit. You know what I'm saying? So see if the information that you're getting is legit, and then you'll get a better understanding of what's going on. And I'm learning too, bro. I'm learning too. I just know that I voted for Obama. I really thought like it was great for the coach. It was definitely great for the culture as far as just from, being the so-called first black president, even though, if you do some history before they started the Declaration of Independence and, before I've said this before, but before they branded George Washington as the first United States of America president, there was a black president, and his name was like John Hanson, I believe. And but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it was just good for the morale. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, he didn't do anything. He didn't do shit. He didn't do anything, bro. Like, he did no good, bro. All he did was he really did a lot of harm. You know what I mean? And he is the puppet. He is the guy that the person that y'all say Trump is. Oh, Trump is just for the millionaires and the billionaires, and all he cares about is power, and he wants to be a king, and he wants to. this is what the Democratic Party is, and this is what Obama was, and he was a part of. You know, it's not just one person, bro. This is a multiple people, and this is bigger than what we can ever imagine. But yeah, man, that's the video for today, man. It's your boy SL550, man. It's the N.G.L.A. podcast, man. Until next time, I'm out.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
a poor man prayers.
Every man bleeds,
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.